When you look at this picture, what do you see? Sure, this family is all together as one, but are they really together? No. Each one is tethered to their own device, in their own world, interacting with different people. But why? Why pass up an opportunity to interact with your family who you see so infrequent, and instead talk with your friends who you see almost every day? I want you to think about this question. Now, look at this picture. What if I asked you which family looked happier? It's debatable, right? I mean, both seem to be happy, they're just doing different things in which make them happy. Our generation has evolved where having a face-to-face conversation at the dinner table is not something that happens every night. So, my question to you is, how has the influence or use of the internet and technology altered this generation, specifically today's youth? Technology is an invention that has changed the world and how we live in it forever. But there are two different perceptions on whether it caused a good change or a bad change. Some say that it has made us unsociable and captured us in its digital world, while others say that it has changed and enhanced the way we interact with each other in a positive way. There are two main points that I will address today: why technology appeals to us and how it has changed us. So first, why does technology appeal to us? Technology has made us turn away from what is called traditional conversation and turn to machines as confidants instead. As stated, As stated in the first page of Sherry Turtles Alone Together, digital connections and the sociable robot may offer the illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship. It is less work to confide in a machine than it is to confide in a person. For example, when confiding in a person, you have to consider their needs as well as yours. But with a machine, there is no need for that. Dr. Azizeh Alai is a professor at Montgomery College in Maryland and an adjunct at George Washington University. She wrote in Psychology Today that so much of our generation has become automated that we are using our bodies for less and less activity. Why take the stairs when you can use the escalator or elevator? Or why walk around the corner to the grocery store, or even walk into a coffee shop when you can drive to your destination or race through a drive-thru and get your coffee to go? Our generation has evolved to finding the easiest way possible of doing things. New inventions make things easier and faster to accomplish. Technology appeals to us because it offers easy alternatives to everyday tasks, which has made our society more sedentary or lazy. Next, how has it changed us? Before, we would be given toys in which we brought to life with our own imagination, but now we are handed toys already programmed with a life of its own. No need for imagination. Before, we would go outside and play with kids from across the street, but now we play with kids from across the street, but through an online connection. I took this paragraph written by Dr. Jim Taylor. He states that if kids can't pay attention, then it leads to them not being able to memorize, reason, or even problem solve, things that seem to come naturally. In generations before, kids would read, which required immense attention, imagination, and memorization. It would develop reflection, critical thinking, problem solving, and vocabulary. Then the television was invented, which made memorizing unnecessary and provided visual stimulation, fragmented attention, and threw the need for imagination out the window. Then came the internet, which made it almost impossible to receive one's consistent attention. Nicholas Carr is an American writer who writes about technology, business, and culture. He says book reading is like scuba diving, in which the reader is fully submerged in a quiet, slow-paced, visually restricted setting with few distractions, and as a result, is required to focus narrowly and think deeply on the limited information that is provided to them. In contrast, using the internet is like jet skiing, in which the jet skier is skimming along the water at high speed and exposed to broad vista and with many distractions and able to focus on anything they choose. Going back to Sherry Turtle's book, she talks about how the internet has teens hiding behind computer screens instead of facing conflicts head-on. She says that technology makes it easy to blur the line between confession and apology, easy to lose sight of what an apology is, not only because online spaces offer themselves cheap alternatives to confronting other people, but because we may come to the challenge of an apology already feeling disconnected from other people. In that state, we forget what we do affects others. Based off of an academic journal by Kim Patton, it is said that it is undeniable that teens are faced with choices that have consequences that they don't have the skills, aptitudes, or even experiences to evaluate, and that the stakes are too high for them to be left alone to their devices in figuring it all out. Professor Larry Rosen of California State University wrote a book where he talks about what he calls an eye disorder. An eye disorder is where you exhibit signs and symptoms of a psychiatric disorder such as OCD, narcissism, addiction, or even ADHD, which are manifested through your use or overuse of technology. But even if technology was considered as a disorder, there's no denying the fact that it affects us in ways we don't usually notice. In his research, it is also found that students on average can concentrate for 3 minutes tops. According to a survey by University of Massachusetts Amherst, their survey interviewed 6.7 million users, and it was found that if the video they are watching takes more than 2 seconds to load, the viewer will abandon it. And according to the Nielsen-Norman group, most users only read 20% of a certain text on a single web page before getting bored and switching to a different site. Not only does it affect our grammar, does it only affect our attention span, but it also affects our grammar. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had to choose one thing that I suck at, it's my grammar. With all our texting and chatting online, we use a lot of slang and bad grammar. These online shortcuts have led to a decline in kids' abilities to spell or even use proper grammar. When we post something online, we expect almost instant feedback. This makes us impatient, making it more likely for us to undergo many frustrations in the real world. Technology also causes narcissistic behavior and cognitive loss, as well as vision problems, hearing loss, and neck strain. According to research by Stanford researchers, it is found that that spending too much time interacting with technology and too little time interacting with humans can lead to some serious social difficulties. For instance, girls ages 8 to 12 who spend a lot of time consuming media and attempting to multitask report lower self-esteem and more difficulty socializing than their less media-driven peers. But technology, of course, there's a bunch of pros to technology. It opens up a whole new world of digital opportunity. It provides more jobs, better communication, and improves medical care. In fact, it is shown in research that video games improve visual spatial capabilities, increase attentional ability, reaction times, and the ability to identify details among clutter. Now, don't get me wrong, I love technology and the internet. I use it basically every day. I always have my phone on me, whether it's in my hand or my pocket. But it's quite obvious that if not used properly or with moderation, it can lead to some serious consequences. There's no doubt that technology is here to stay. It will leave an everlasting effect on how society functions and operates. But we can control its effect on future generations, whether it leaves a positive one or a negative one. Technology is not a growing epidemic. There's nothing that can be done to stop the new innovation of devices. It's human nature to evolve and improve. Now, I know not everybody in here is completely obsessed with technology, but I do know that we're on our phones quite frequently, whether it's at the dinner table, at a family reunion, or even, let's say, waiting for your ride home from school. Maybe now it's time to change. Leave your phone in your bedroom when you're having dinner, or talk with your family at these gatherings and enjoy your time with them. We shouldn't let technology take the basic skills from us. We shouldn't let it take our childhood learning experiences, but we should make sure that it benefits us in the best ways possible. Thank you.